It feels like Surging Sparks just came out. I know, because it does. But it is already almost time for Prismatic Evolutions. As of the time this video comes out, Prismatic Evolutions will be out in just over 1 week. Wild. Prismatic Evolutions is very much a collector-focused set. There is not a lot in this set for players, except for reprints, and we're going to cover many of the reprints that are in this set because they are welcome in many ways. However, there are a few cards to keep your eye on in this set as a player, and we will be looking at those here as we look at the top 5 cards from Prismatic Evolutions. Additionally, before we go over the cards for trainers, I always like to highlight the art from the set, and especially if there's any art by Shinji Kanda, we highlight those. So we're going to take a little peek at some of the art in this set. Straight out of the gate, we have a beautiful pair of evolutions here. We have Leafeon and Sylveon. I think both these cards are absolutely gorgeous. I'd love either one of them. I have a Sylveon collection myself, so I definitely will be getting a Sylveon, but I really do like Leafeon also, and this art is just fantastic. Looking forward to seeing these cards. I cannot imagine they will be remotely cheap. These are going to be sought after by many, many people. Additionally, one of the other very cool arts in this set happens to be the Ceruledge. Ceruledge, the picture here is a little on the blurry side, but it's just one of those like really cool, look how cool I am kind of arts for Ceruledge, which I think is very, very appropriate. I'm actually looking forward to this, seeing this card in person as well. Be awesome. And of course, you know, Leafeon and Sylveon are not the only evolutions. There are others that are very much sought after as well. Here are a couple of my other favorites. We have Jolteon and Umbreon. Umbreon, of course, this is like the Sunbreon, as it's been referred to, the sun in the background instead of the moon, like the Moonbreon from Evolving Skies. I just think both these cards look really cool. They're both very, very intricate in their designs, especially Umbreon, with all the little tiny details. I love the way it looks. But it's not just the evolutions in the set. There are some other awesome arts to take a look at. Here we have Iron Valiant and Dragapult. This is actually the English scan of Dragapult. Pokemon Company was nice enough to provide that to everyone, so we have a chance to look at this card in English prior to its release. But the art on both of these is super cool. Jerky's artwork for Dragapult EX, just, ooh, it's something else, that's for sure. I love it a lot. Up next, of course, we have the highlight of the set for me and my Shinji Kanda collection. We have a new piece of art from Shinji Kanda. Here we have the Roaring Moon alternate art from the set. I love Shinji Kanda's use of these very, very thin and detailed lines. You can kind of zoom in a little bit and see some of the artwork that he's done, and I just absolutely love his style. And I'm very much looking to see this Roaring Moon in my binder and in the set, obviously. Now, I talked earlier about the reprints in this set, and this set is full of them. It's about half reprints, half new cards. So let's start looking at some of these reprints, shall we? Here we have, in this first page here, a new-ish, technically, print of the Teal Mask Ogerpon EX. We also have Wellspring Mask Ogerpon EX and Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon EX, but all three of these have seen a decent amount of play, so they are welcome reprints. We have Iron Hands, which itself is a very welcome reprint. Duskull, Dusclops, and Dusknoir, all part of this set also. So if you didn't pick them up from Shrouded Fable, then you can grab them from this set. There's also Sandy Shocks, Eevee from Stellar Crown, Noctowl from Stellar Crown, Buddy Poffin. I am so glad this card is getting a reprint. It's a little bit up there in terms of price right now. This will help to bring it down some. Buddy Poffin is found in so many decks, so having it pop up here, excellent. Helps bring that price down. Additionally, we have 4 different versions of Professor's Research that are being printed in this set. Starter deck generations had 9 of them. We're getting 4 of them here. We're getting Professor Oak, Professor Elm, Professor Rowan, and Professor Sycamore. So generations 1, 2, 4, and 6. So fun stuff there. We also have Area 0 Underdepths, Binding Mochi, Bud Catching Set, Carmine, Cybermaniacs, Codebreaking, Rescue Board. Here we just have so many really important cards, or cards that could be useful down the line, like Bud Catching Set, right? There's also Earthen Vessel, also a very welcome reprint. That card just gotten a little high up there in price for an individual uncommon trainer card. Explorer's Guidance, not that hard, not that expensive, but it is nice to see it again. Festival Grounds, just like Bud Catching set, could be very good in the future. Glass Trumpet, Janine's Secret Art, Kieran, Lacey. Lacey is one of those cards I think is better than people realize, but maybe it'll catch on further down the line. Maximum Belt, good to see some reprints of the Ace specs. There's another one we're going to talk about here in a second on the next slide. We also have Sada's Vitality and Turo Scenario. And then we have Scoop Up Cyclone and Techno Raider. And it has not been confirmed as of the recording for this video, but it is highly likely that Prime Catcher is also in this set. And if that's the case, super, super welcome. That card keeps going really, really high because the demand for it is just that high. Card's extremely good, easily the best Ace spec currently printed for the standard format. It's just that strong. But we've seen these reprints. They're cool, they're nice, but we've seen these cards before. They are not new. Let's look at the honorable mentions. The honorable mentions are kind of a thin category for this particular set. Again, there's not a ton new in this set, so what I decided to do is just stick all of our favorite evolutions in the honorable mentions. Didn't quite make the top 5 for this set. I think with a little bit more support, or maybe a little bit more in the future that we might get, maybe these will be better. Maybe rotation will make them better. As they are now, for the most part, they're kind of just lackluster. They're not quite as powerful as just other decks that already exist in standard, so that's why they've made just the honorable mentions. We have Leafeon, we have Flareon, Vaporeon, and Jolteon, of course. And then we have Glaceon, Espeon, Umbreon, and Eevee itself. Eevee, of course, probably going to see a lot of play in these evolution decks in general because it serves both as a Terra Pokemon and as a way to also level up, or not level up, but evolve up rather, into these evolutions. But it's time to look at the top 5. Now, you're going to look at these and you're going to go, wow, that made the top 5? Let me just remind you, this set's a little thin on the pickings, okay? Just a reminder. Anyway. Up first is Seaking at number 5. Seaking has the ability Festival Lead. If Festival Grounds is in play, this Pokemon may use an attack it has twice. If the first attack knocks out your opponent's active Pokemon, you may attack again after your opponent chooses a new active Pokemon. And then it has Rapid Draw, which does 60 damage, and you get to draw 2 cards. We did get a chance to try out the deck, the Festival Lead deck, with this Seaking. Actually made a difference in the battle it was in. It probably shouldn't have because it was a weakness thing, but you know what? Cool. It was decent. Festival Lead currently is struggling mostly because of Dragapult, although I'm sure Hydreigon is not helping either, even though it is significantly less popular. All the same, look, Festival Lead's a cool deck, and I wish it would succeed, but the meta is not especially hospitable to it. So that's why this is at number 5 on the top 5. Up next is Sylveon. This is very similar to Mimikyu, but the cool thing about this is you can't be forced to start it. So if you are running an Evolution deck, this is a way to have some sort of safeguard ability in play that you aren't being forced to start. Now, this card is much more relevant come rotation. Obviously, Mimikyu is just better before rotation because we still have Pokemon V in the format, and Mimikyu does also prevent Pokemon V. However, after rotation, Sylveon does exactly the same thing for standard, so that not having to start it could be advantageous in the right deck. And then, of course, obviously you have Magical Shot, which does 100 damage. That's not really relevant. It's not what you're running the Sylveon for. You're not going to be poking him with 100 damage. Up next is Black Belt's Practice. In a way, this is an alternate to Kieran, which is also in this set. So this is awesome because you just get to do 40 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon EX. Kieran, of course, is 30 instead, although it does apply both to EX and V. And this, of course, as always, applies before weakness and resistance, so you could double that with weakness. Black Belt's Practice, super useful in very specific situations, may find a niche in the future. This is not, however, a card I expect to see play right away, or at least not any significant amount of play right away, simply because it is kind of outclassed at the moment by Kieran. But again, with rotation, it is a maybe because of that extra 10 damage. At number 2, we have our first true contender for the top 5. Regigigas has its Jewel Break attack. For 4 colorless energy, it does 100 damage. And if your opponent's active Pokemon is a Terra Pokemon, it does 230 more, or 330 in total, before any damage modifiers, which is phenomenal. This could easily slot into decks that throw energy around. So I'm thinking stuff like Chen Pao or Lugia, where they just need a big attacker to take on those big Terra Pokemon like Dragapult, like Charizard, this is that option. So Regigigas will absolutely see play, especially prior to rotation, and maybe even after it. I definitely like Regigigas, and I think this is easily a number 2. And now for number 1, guys, I don't even need to tell you what number 1 is. This is the biggest card on this set. It's going to be the biggest changer. It's already played in about half of the decks. In Japan, yes, you heard me right, about half of the decks run at least one copy of this card, and that is Badoo. Badoo has Itchy Pollen for no attack cost, does 10 damage, and says during your opponent's next turn, they can't play any item cards from their hand. This card is super good, not especially overpowered. It's like a slightly improved version of the attack on Cryogonal from Evolving Skies, question mark? I can't remember which. No, from Cosmic Eclipse. It was played in Ice Rider really early on in Ice Rider's lifespan. Very cool card. Badoo is very much that also, except it has free retreat. It has 30 HP, which is a little sketchy. But again, free retreat, doing that 10 damage can make a big difference if you're able to get this out. Prevent your opponent from really using their items after their first turn already. Because of course you're going to have to go second in order to use this attack. But this can help slow your opponent down such that you'll be able to get into the game. And if your deck is more of a wombo combo, you'll definitely need this. And even if it's not, you may still benefit from your opponent being slowed down anyway. Again, Badoo is easily the best card for players in this set. And if you don't have at least a couple of them, you will regret it. But that is it. That is all for this set. I am personally looking forward to Journey Together in March, much more than this set, mostly because I'm very excited for the Trainers Pokemon. But this set does have, this set being Prismatic Evolutions, of course, does have some jewels of its own. Anyway, that is all for today. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Let me know what your top 5 for Prismatic Evolutions are in the comments. Anyway, that's all for today. I'll see you in the next one.